You are hereby sentenced to serve from 15 to 21 years in a federal penitentiary. You have the alternative of undergoing 4 days in Punishment Park. How do you choose?
Long story short, last summer I tweeted out that if that tangerine-stained waste of seminal fluid became president, I'd review this. It was a fucking joke! But apparently a lot of people in Moscow really wanted to see me review Punishment Park. I hope you fucking enjoy it! Yes, Punishment Park, probably the best humans hunting humans movie ever made. This is by Peter Watkins. You've never heard of him. I'm not being a hipster, that's a fact. He's English and has a unique style. He does fake documentaries, but they're never comedies. In fact, I think his stuff even predates the mockumentary. And they're often about really odd subject matter, like the aftermath of a nuclear strike, or a battle in the 18th century. And the presence of dispassionate cameramen and interviewers is never questioned as weird.
Your Highness, why are you fighting today when the ground here has been criticized by some of your officers?
Because God is on our side.
I'm going to have to shout to make myself heard.
In any other hands, this would be the start of a comedy sketch. Watkins also made Privilege, essentially the 60s version of The Wall or Jubilee. Also the originator of the Patti Smith song, Privilege, Set Me Free. Basically it's set in an alternate reality early 70s where the Nixon administration has gone full fascist. They're giving prisoners the chance to get their overinflated sentences commuted by getting across the desert to a flag, all the while being hunted by local cops in a training exercise. The law that makes this all legal is real. It was introduced in 1950 and is called the McCarran Act. Be very afraid. And then look it up and realise that it was got rid of not long after this was released. Anyway, most of the prisoners are there for being against war, not caring for fascism, or for thinking the shooting of innocent black people is wrong. If you shave some of these people, you could release this today! While all this is going on, there's Watkins' trademark documentary crew following the action, conducting interviews, filming the fascists at work, and dispassionately narrating everything. It's like a BBC Nature documentary about Yankee Nazis. Anyway, we begin with the loneliest flag in the world. Just looking at that flag, you can tell how America's values have become truly backward. It's the victim's target, smack bang in the middle of where they filmed the moon landing. This film's about a truly dark part of America's past, the hipster slave trade. They're being taken on the smallest convoy in history to be tried in a kangaroo court. Or, as they're called in Australia, courts.
Time, 9 a.m. The Bear Mountain National Punishment Park.
Holy shit, it's Sammy Davis Jr.! The Southern Californian Punishment Park, it's all the celebrities! The film cuts between two different plots concurrently. There's these guys, Sammy Davis Jr., Marcy from Married with Children, one of the founders of Microsoft, and the rest being tried and sentenced while others are going through the park. So when I cut between them, that's because the film is. During the trials, we get glimpses of serious world building, such as Dr. Hugo Strange trying to lure the Batman out of Gotham by being evil in the desert.
He denied the Russian delegate's accusation that the U.S. government is building up a large standing army for the suppression of its own people. Senator George McLewis resigned from the Senate today. He said in a press conference shortly after he walked from the Senate floor that he could no longer participate in what he called the dismantling of basic freedoms for which this country was established.
The most unrealistic part of this is that a senator would resign over those laws, and that's sad. Still, we have this guy doing all he can, shy of getting hours of surgery, to make it look like he has tits. Paint me like one of your French girls. Oh look, it's all 1 million moms distilled into an angry PTA board member. Anyway, the trial begins with a traditional invocation of the Constitution.
Motion for dismissal at this time. Dismissal on what grounds?
Constitutional. First, Fourth, Fifth, and 14th Amendments.
Motion overruled.
How the fuck you gonna overrule the Constitution? It's called the Scalia Amendment.
I'd like to introduce a motion to have each of the defendant's convictions reviewed separately.
Denied, denied, denied.
This trial has more denials than Roy Cohen with a dick in his ass.
Deny!
Denied!
That's all the fuck you can do.
So we don't even know what we were arrested for.
Now, I'm hardly an expert, but I think half of you might have been arrested for being in the Manson family. Oh shit, that guy's headphones look like they might start lactating!
Punishment Park, described by the U.S. Senate Subcommittee on Law and Order as
Turkey shoot sans a werewolf, or, more controversially, the most dangerous game with two kinds of colour. Here's the ones we'll be following in the park itself. Luckily, most won't remember any of this because they look pretty high.
You have accepted this course of your own volition as an alternative to your penal sentences.
That guy's shades are too small for his face. The flag's over 50 miles away. The good news is they have 2.5 days to reach it. The bad news is literally everything else, up to and including the worst heatwave in years.
well-known author, broadcaster, and political activist.
I want to be tried by a jury of my peers. That means black, in front of witnesses who identify themselves. In person. Witnesses. Here.
Keep the defendant silent. Restrain the defendant.
The object of this course is simple.
Deliberation
Oh, that's good editing.
The object of this course is simple.
That's not mine. The film did that. Oh man, all I said was Black Lives Matter. All lives matter!
You think my language is immoral? What do you call that shit you just did, man?
I believe they call it a half Rodney King special. It's only a half because you're still conscious.
Few of the people in this country are living on the benefit. You want to listen or you want to talk?
We want to hear your
You
message.
don't want to hear my
caught some
message.
of
You
it.
spent 50 years evolving a propaganda system that'll take the truth and change it into what you want to hear. You don't want to hear shit that's going to mean you might have to give up something.
Well, I don't know about you, but I kind of want to go out and kill Whitey. If I don't find someone soon, I'm going to have to just punch myself in the face. And that would not be becoming. When I said this felt really current, that's the sort of thing I was talking about. You don't even need to change the words. That could be someone today talking about the very same issue.
Watch your language as a lady in a court.
Where?
These officers have strict instructions not to molest you in any way.
Oh, I wanted to see naked lesbian crossbow rape. Oh wait, it's time for the obligatory kill someone to show its serious bit.
Well, all right, you got
It's okay as long as they don't fuck his corpse. What I love is that the guy got exactly as much introduction as Slipknot and Suicide Squad. Oh, wait, he's still alive. That makes me sad.
It has been stated, and it's a fact. There are more color television sets and automobiles owned by black people in the United States than all of Russia together.
A, that's the fallacy of relative privation, and B, outside of Alexander Pushkin and bars, there's not that many black Russians. Anyway, the trial starts reading out some of Sammy Davis Jr.'s poetry.
To you I say, free your communities, arm yourselves. If pigs comprehend nothing but force, then use it. Liberate yourself. Off the pigs. Kill the chief pig.
This man is writing things calling for violence, calling for the destruction of this country.
Nah, I'm pretty sure that's something Ice-T wrote in the early 90s.
America is as psychotic as it is powerful, and violence is the only goddamn thing that will command your attention.
What I'm trying to say, man, is that I'm Magneto, I'm just searching for a helmet, and you motherfuckers are all Graydon Creed.
America was born in violence. I'm in this place right now because my people, my forebears.
The guys running the trial look unimpressed because poor black people in Russia can only have 2 bears.
10:03 a.m.
Jeez, someone phone the talking clock and see if it needs someone to talk to. The time is meaningless because we are constantly moving ever towards universal heat death. Nothing has a point, and 10:03 doubly so. Hey, check it out. They've only been released and it looks like there's a Grateful Dead concert at the end of this trek.
Distance to the United States flag, 53 miles. Time remaining before the beginning of the police pursuit, 1 hour and 53 minutes.
They made their choice. They could have done a lot of things, but they chose to, throw fire bombs and conspire to violently overthrow the government.
If only they'd been responsible citizens and chosen to take over a wildlife refuge in Oregon instead.
In order to provide what is termed further motivation, this group have been told that they will find water halfway to the American flag.
What they don't realize is that it's contained inside a rabid wolverine because this is actually a Chris Morris sketch. They take a break and try to decide what to do. Some, like Jake Busey playing a toilet brush here, want to hide out in the desert and attack their pursuers, guerrilla style. While Chi McBride in The Frighteners thinks he's a fucking idiot for suggesting that. Tony Goldmark, for the most part, just wonders when Disneyland security got so hardcore.
What? What were you charged with?
For punching someone who got in the fucking way of my jogging! Hey, it looks like the cops are posing for the cover of their swimsuit album. Well, that's a brave strategy to hunt the prisoners down.
You're a marksman. Yeah.
Are you also sexually obsessed with dressing like Eric Estrada from Chips?
Yeah.
But this thing loaded with magnum loads has got enough knockdown power to knock down a rhinoceros if it's coming at you. I'm sure that we're going to be apprehending very few rhinoceri, but if we happen to come into one, I want to know darn well that I'm going to be able to stop it.
I am not a rhino!
I do the full thing, but you can't see my arms then.
They started trying another guy, and that bald man looks like he's trying to explode the guy's head with his mind.
You say you're against war and depression.
So are most people. Well, except you lot, obviously. Look at those faces. They're especially for depression.
I'm not talking about depression, I'm talking about repression.
Ah, well, they're also for that.
Do you condone the war in Vietnam?
Certainly.
You do? Why?
Why?
Yes, war is protecting your country.
We're fighting communism.
Well, who tells you this?
I hear it every day.
Time remaining 1 hour and 25 minutes.
Have you any idea how you're going to try and complete these 50 miles?
Probably with my legs. Now, in a situation where a peacenik turns into a zombie, you want to use a double tap. Just like that.
You know the difference between a patriot and a chauvinist?
Define the word chauvinist to me. I'd like to know
Define the word chauvinist. Chauvin was an officer under Napoleon, and his loyalty was so absurd that we got the word chauvin, which is chauvinistic, which is an absurd loyalty.
What?
That's not what it means. It's like a slightly lighter version of misogynist. I'll fucking show you. You're a very clever film, Punishment Park. I am disappointed in you. Definition of chauvinist. Here we go. A person displaying aggressive or exaggerated patriot. What? Is this a Mandela effect? Is this what being wrong feels like? Kinda like it. Out in the desert, this guy looks like Robert Powell fucked a Wookiee. I don't judge. I mean, his sister here is quite a fucking looker.
I gather that you're not going to try and make the next 50 miles to the United States flag.
Your function with this weapon is to hit a man-sized figure. All you have to do is hit a man-sized figure from here to there.
Oh, tiny gun, big fucking bullets. But enough about him coming.
He's going down. He's got to go down, and he's going to go down hurting.
Let's go back to the trial.
What would you do to us if you were in control? What, would you be very humanitarian with people like us?
Did she just admit they're evil? That kind of sounded like she admitted they're evil. Anyway, they start lecturing the guy about having a job, meaning that running this women's organization is apparently a fucking job. Most tragic thing thus far.
You haven't got the first idea about love with your love-ins. You really haven't.
Well, that's a non sequitur. Lady, you're not silent or a majority, you talkative minority. And being that that is apparently a crime, you're just lucky the rest of the guys in the trial haven't figured you out yet. Anyway, as you'd expect, they've moved on to orgies.
Or to go around the streets and have orgies all the time and sleep in the streets.
I'm not going around the streets having orgies all the time.
You're not, huh?
Excuse me, even though they live in a post-orgy scarcity society, that guy only has orgies on special occasions. Special occasions, like being mistaken for Art Garfunkel. If I hated that guy anymore, the veins in my neck would explode!
This is a Remington Wingmaster Model 870 shotgun, 12 gauge.
S-Mart's top of the line.
What about the corruption? What about the police brutality? What about the oppression of the minority groups of this country?
Responsible, you're sick.
What? I am not immoral, Mrs. Jurgens. You want to know what's immoral?
You're immoral. I'm immoral. He's immoral. We're all immoral!
War is immoral. Poverty is immoral. Racism is immoral. Police brutality is immoral. Oppression is immoral. Genocide is immoral. Imperialism is immoral.
And lady, most of all, lime green eyeshadow is fucking immoral!
This country represents all those things.
Is it fair to invoke Godwin's law when...
Little fucking Hitler!
When you're dealing with actual fascists? Although, some idiots would invoke Godwin's law in actual Nazi Germany. Regardless, I think you can all agree that if you scream at an armed guard to drag the other person from the room, you've probably lost the debate.
Each individual cartridge has 9 ball bearings in it.
I was at a poetry reading and at a rally for demonstration.
Temperature 93.
Sorry, Tony, some jerk with a camera doesn't want to hear what you have to say.
Watch the pattern of the buckshot on us.
And they say, this is democracy.
Can you see the disbursement on that?
No, but I saw your little dance.
Oh shit, one of the kids out in the desert is John Connor.
Anything between those 2 shots is blown away. It is no longer causing you any trouble. It does not exist anymore.
Just like the continuity in the Terminator movies. Due to the bad economic situation, the 70s running man can only afford police-themed stalkers. So it turns out that off-screen one of the cops has been murdered by Jake Busey's group, who decided to stay and hide.
What happened is that young man that you see over there with that white cloth on his head is dead.
No! I could have sworn he was being a plumber!
He was stabbed to death with the spires of a Joshua tree.
So the big problem here is that they were armed with a branch when they killed him? Anyway, the boss of the cops explains to the interviewer, basically, that he and his are going to get revenge on the prisoners. Even these ones, it look like they're getting a cover shot done for their mid-90s Christian rock album. And so, couldn't have anything to do with the murder. Now, with the murder, the police apparently mean business. They load their guns and are ready to use lethal force to capture the prisoners. Of course, this is exactly the same as how they were acting before the murder. Usually that'd be a problem with the film, but since this is constructed as a documentary, it's trying to get across that the murder did fuck all to the cops other than give them an excuse.
Not a matter of personal vendetta.
This guy looks so disappointed. It's like he suddenly realized that this isn't a park at all. The murderers also made off with the cops' equipment. A gun, his car, and worst of all, his Daredevil costume.
They, of course, have his billy club.
He was going to wear that to the station costume party.
They are armed, they are dangerous, they have a shotgun that is the most dangerous weapon that I can imagine.
As you can tell, I have little or no imagination.
We will use force against them. We will not take any chances with these individuals. They've killed once. I don't like to lose men.
The thing that appalls me is that it seems to be almost understood. You know, it doesn't have to happen this way.
Have you ever killed a man yourself?
Yes, I have.
Shot a man in Reno just to watch him die, sir. Oh hey, Toby Kebbell's one of the prisoners. Movie, I don't think Van Forstick was quite that bad, but I'll take your word for it. Sorry, I couldn't say that with a straight face. Everyone involved in that train wreck should be asked probing questions about the limits of their pacifism while violent fascists approach looking for their blood.
I don't think there'll be any need for violence.
To defend ourselves, I guess that violence might be necessary, yes.
I can't see the good in fighting back. If they kill me, then what difference would my politics, what difference would any politics make? I would be dead.
Is this really the right time for a debate about violence? I mean, they could choose a worse time, like by waiting 5 minutes till the cops are on them and then asking while they're having their faces caved in, but it's still not a good time. Still, Michael Shannon and young Carnellen make for a good disheveled Sonny and Cher.
Defendant Valero, do you understand why you are before this tribunal?
Because you're all cunts. I love this guy, the snarky as fuck conscientious objector.
Defendant Valerio, if I were to tell you I was going to wad up this piece of paper and hit you with it, what would you do?
If I pulled a gun on you, how would you react? By reminding you that's a crime and by welcoming you to this side of the table. It sucks over here.
Have you ever gone hunting, or have your dad or your parents or any of your friends taken you out hunting?
I've never gone hunting.
Agent Donovan, will you read that charge again?
Charge 3. Charge 3, conspiracy to not go hunting, you fucking monster!
At another time, the honorable thing or the right thing to do might be to be a policeman or to be president. Right now, I think the honorable thing to do is to be a criminal.
Megaforce, starring Barry Bostwick and Henry Silva.
Would you describe your work as committed socially?
It's committed to the Disney Corporation, like my immortal soul.
Knight Rider, a shadowy flight into the dangerous world of a man who does not exist.
You know, the police aren't so much hunting the prisoners as catching up to them.
The pigs are coming! You are apprehended. Your part in the course is concluded.
Man, cops had basic sets back in the 70s.
Bad boys, what you want, what you want, what you gonna do when Sheriff John Brown come for you?
You've got shackles on, you've got handcuffs on, and this is a picnic.
Hey, don't you badmouth BDSM picnics. Sometimes they let you brand people.
Guards, put the cuffs on tight enough.
Maybe I'm the crazy person, but I think you could maybe get away if you drop the cameraman. Oh, they're hiding in the only building for literally miles. This thinking is why your revolution's a shining fucking success.
We have to get out of here. This is the first place they're going to come looking for us.
Luckily, the cops are busy being distracted by this defenseless human being. And, as we spent the whole film establishing, that's their favorite type of human being.
Perros.
No, they're taken alive. The fact that this fascist nightmare has its cops showing more restraint than real ones today is equal parts hilarious and terrifying. A bit like Mike Pence's sexuality.
He loves this country, but I want to go to Canada. And how does he want to go to Canada? Evade the draft.
Oh, you get to Canada by turning left and evade the draft. Oh, he tried heading north. What an idiot. Anyway, it's the end of day one and they've yelled at two hippies to oblivion. They're making good time.
Dawn on the second day.
Is still a slut. Look at all those lucky men and women.
How do you feel?
My hands. My fingers are numb. I'm afraid of my feet, Dave.
They threatened me in the night. They wanted my LSD, but I told them I don't have any left. Anyway, we have a new show trial. Well, it's technically a show trial, but in that outfit, there's not much show. This probable lesbian was arrested because of a logical paradox.
I want to find out a little bit more about you. You were arrested for assaulting a police officer. What'd you do to him?
I was trying to keep him from arresting me.
She was also arrested for serious crimes against the art of poetry.
Santa Claus is coming with a bag of bombs and guns. Santa Claus is here. The revolution has come. Grab a handful, dip in quick. Grant the slogan, make it stick. Right on, baby.
Vogon poetry is, of course, the third worst in the universe.
Get yours and fight like crazy. We can win. Blow up buildings, watch them fall for hours that we spend standing in the hall.
I'll tell you one thing, any more of this poetry reading, I'm getting out of here.
Oh, it's all very arty and educational.
I'd like to hear you sing one.
Father Pig leads a flock of sheep. Father Pig makes ready for the slaughter. Celibate snatchmen know rhythm is the way. Poor ladies get the babies, but Father Dick has the say.
I don't want to hear
You know what snatches? You know what snatches?
Jesus, like she's a Billy Jack character come to life. Actually, I would kill to see a Billy Jack Punishment Park crossover. They spend half the budget on denim and the finale would be 90% kicks.
Really? Really?
Thus making it indistinguishable from an actual Billy Jack film.
You came from a wealthy family. I would assume you had the best of things that this country has to offer people. Now, why are you turning against the country?
Because it's full of cunts like you. No, seriously, I love this woman. She's like a contestant on RuPaul's Drag Race playing an angry lesbian.
Is that your opinion, dummy?
So fucking hot.
Fuck off. That's all I gotta say to you,
What's your
idiot.
language, defendant?
That's
Why?
part of all the other moral crap.
Moral crap?
Yes.
You said crap!
Yes, you make me say
said
crap.
crap.
You make me very
Shoot that
angry.
woman!
I can't.
Do you have any children?
Yes, I have.
How many children do you
And
have?
you've tried to get into the mind of some of my children.
Lady, I don't know your kids, and if they're half as ugly as you, I'd keep further away from them than you keep your Dolores Umbridge-looking ass from Good Taste. Honestly, I've been in enough lesbian clubs. The air between these two is thick enough with sexual tension to be bottled and sold as an aphrodisiac.
Let us get back to the charges, and these are very serious charges, and I'll read them again.
I have a charge to make against you,
violent
old man.
overthrow of the
You
US
old,
government.
sick man.
You could play this in an art gallery under the title Live Action Twitter!
Conspiracy to incite to
How many
riot,
kids
which
have you
means
led
leading
to the slaughter?
young
How many kids are out
kids
there
to-
now? Who's getting killed by the guns that I hear go off? How many children? How many children have you killed? Who's dying right now?
Anyway, they drag her out as she screams that they're gonna kill her. Yeah, that's true, but at the same time, she might have just given them the idea. And if that's the case, then irony 1, people with legitimate grievance, nil. Come on, guys! American Adventure's gotta be around here somewhere! So the cops found one of the prisoners taking a nap beneath this sheet and put a bullet in his head just to be sure.
We have at least one, probably two more running around.
What do you plan to do now?
Well, we have this gun. We'll try to find a place in the high ground and,
Why is it that the interviewer can find these guys who killed a cop and drove off in his car, but the rest of the police can't? Fuck Batman, Peter Watkins is the world's greatest detective. Back with the tribunal, and they've taken to yelling at an empty chair, Eastwood style, about how evil those on trial are.
And the words in her songs, did you hear that? Throw bombs, blow up, kill, kill.
I really don't think they've discovered irony yet. But they have discovered the craft services. My guess is the ship was so hot that they refused to do this scene without access to as many snacks as they could eat.
Well, I think a number of these young people remind me of a situation I even had at home. I think it was one of my own daughters.
She stole a cookie, so I forced her to walk to the next town over, while her siblings chased her on their bikes, all dressed up like police. It was so cute until she threw herself in front of that train.
You've got to remember that these children of ours today are much like skilled and trained, highly bred horses, you know.
6 months ago, my other daughter broke her leg, so I sold her to a glue factory, and now she helps seal my letters. Hey, is it just me, or does the guy in tartan look like a game show host? Seditious youth, come on down! You've won an all-expenses-paid hiking holiday in beautiful, scenic California!
California.
And that's before you even answer a single question!
What would you do if one of your own children appeared before you on the tribunal?
I'd either recover a modicum of humanity or become the monster that I always wanted to be!
This may sound funny, but it isn't funny. I think there should have been more Spank and less Spock in America.
You're right, that is funny. Fuck logic! I know he's talking about Dr. Spock and not Mr. Spock, but still, fuck him! And the amount of BDSM in Kirk and Spock's relationship, like whether they do it at a picnic or not, is up to them! They made it to the halfway mark. No Wolverine, but there's also no water.
What's wrong?
Oh. Fuck!
Fuck!
That's to be expected. The Wolverine escaped.
They want us to try and break out. They want us to become violent. They want us to be like them.
What would your forefathers have done, Mr. Calder, if during the Revolution they were all conscientious objectors?
Probably the same as the third of the colonists who didn't give much of a crap either way.
It would include the people from England, too. And in that case, they would have been acting justly towards the people in the colonies.
That is a shit answer. Just point out that the Revolutionary War was a revolution. The clue is in the name. The exact same thing they're allegedly stamping out with their really fucking ugly jackboots. I mean, both the assholes and the hippies seem to think this whole thing is a reaction to some kind of revolution. So have some self-awareness, please!
Tell me, Mr. Calder, are you aware of the crisis in this country? How deeply do you feel about the present crisis of the nation, of the world at large?
They're right. The numbers of weird glasses has got right out of hand. The bald guy decides to bring out the big guns, St. Thomas Aquinas.
Are you familiar with St. Thomas Aquinas?
Yes, I am.
I think he had this to say about a just war.
The pacifist seizes Thomas Aquinas and raises him St. Augustine.
Those provisos came from St. Augustine originally.
Who, I think you'll agree, outranks Thomas Aquinas.
And St. Augustine had a fourth proviso, which just shows the total absurdity of considering any war just.
They're now 27 miles from the end, and shit, the flag's getting excited. There's a lot to consider in this film, like how Jeffrey Rush fell through a time portal and ended up as a Leon Trotsky impersonator, and why he's not been arrested for being a Leon Trotsky impersonator. Now, this genuinely surprised me the first time I saw it, but it probably shouldn't have. Assholes in power using Martin Luther King to whitewash the oppression of black people as early as 1972.
Martin Luther King was opposed to your violence.
The man was only cold for 4 years. He'd been dead for so little time that he could have been used as a literal instead of a figurative club. And at least that would have been original. Oh hey, the ones who killed the cop have a hostage.
Let man go!
Have seized a West German sound technician.
Very West German.
It's simple and quite plain. That when fired upon, I believe in firing back.
Well, there goes 1/3 of the Bee Gees.
It's just a matter of staying alive. Just a matter of staying alive. Just a matter of staying alive.
It's like a game they're playing with us. You either win or you die.
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die.
The peelers send their regards, bitch. Over and over and over again.
We're afraid to die? No, I'm not afraid to die. That's quite obvious.
We have more verbal sparring and righteous anger. It's like an angry Thanksgiving meal.
Would you like for me to define what a politician is? A politician is nothing but a debater.
You missed a chance to call them master debaters, so sorry, I need to dock your points. Then we cut back to the main cop, who either wants to punch the camera or badly needs to fuck it.
Because you're a pig, you lying punk.
Restrain the defendant.
You know, it's treatment like that which inspired the other seminal 70s fake documentary about contemporary politics. You know, the Black Gestapo. One of the problems with trying to review this is that the trial sections are very samey. And the stuff that's similar all throughout isn't massively funny. It's usually two sides yelling political debate at each other, or, like now, it's one side yelling political debate.
Check hands. Mr. Chairman. Shut him up. Shut him up. Gag him. Shut him up.
Tickle his feet! Call him names! Steal his shoes!
Shut him up.
The administration has chosen to accept and exploit the present division within the country and to side with what it considers as the majority.
The next morning, Goldmark's in the worst shape he's been since they revamped Test Track.
Have you discussed what you'll do if you have to leave him?
Well, we're about 10 minutes away from drinking his blood, honestly.
When the human body has suffered a dehydration of between 6 to 10%, it experiences dizziness, difficulty in breathing.
Dehydration really sucks, okay? What I love about this shot is how much the actors, not just the characters, but the actors, want to kill the narrator for not helping them out.
Some of the guys gotten pretty upset since the deputy incident the other day. I'm afraid they're going to shoot first and ask questions later.
I myself plan to shoot first and ask Jeeves. Oh, Alanis Morissette. That's ironic.
Radical organizer of women's unions, co-founder of the National Committee Against War and Repression.
She's talking politics. Reasonable, reasonable, reasonable. Fascism! Oppression! They're expected with violence! Reasonable, reasonable, fuck you, reasonable. Can you believe what she just said? Nice to see that in the middle of a death march, a Californian can still catch some rays. The group in the desert is split again into those helping Tony Goldmark deal with 3 days without access to Weird Al, and those who have left them all to die. A sniper is the drop on the ones who left and yells at them all to surrender, so they approach, hands up. But weirdly, the closer they get to his position, the deafer they get.
Down! Now come on, slow up, they can't hear you.
Sit down where you are!
Sit down!
Sit down!
Sit down! He can't...
Sit down!
He can't...
Don't shoot.
God! Fuck!
Zerg
Get out of here!
It looked like the movement went through a long kind of history and was very reluctant to make any kind of radical changes. It was very reluctant to become violent. But we saw that the government would only make changes when we did become violent. We had to come down and intervene when we were trying to register voters.
Well, that's this film in a nutshell. Want to go one better and explain the moral and intellectual thrust what you're going for?
I think that we should realize the dangerous degree to which the violence of the students is now being overplayed, and the violence of the establishment is being deliberately minimized.
We must draw this cross-examination to a close.
Yeah, our lawyer's making too much sense.
I am loyal to the people of this country, Your Honor, or whatever it is your title is.
You will address me as your pinkness, for I am made of candy floss and bubble gum. Oh, the cops are about to murder the Zerg.
Not so!
We don't have any guns!
Tell that nigger put his hands up where I can see him! There's a camera crew here! I don't give a fuck who's there.
Topical joke! They're taken prisoner, but the intentions of the cops are perfectly fucking clear.
You got it.
We don't have any guns!
Watch him! Please, watch him! Sheriff Edwards! Come Sheriff on! Edwards, leave him! Don't do Leave this! him. Stop! Don't do it! Don't fuck! Get out!
Of course, the cops aren't happy that this group of National Guard, also training in the exercise, got 2 of their kills. So in a fit of rage, they shoot the other 2. One of whom was a hitchhiker from Texas Chainsaw, so at least he's good eating. The single most shocking part of this is that finally the narrator has discovered emotions.
Fucking idiots.
Well, they had to fucking...
We've seen this! We've seen this! We've seen this!
I don't care if you're taking jam at your ass.
You murdering bastard!
I was just... Leave him alone.
Yeah, we
The
want
gun
to
went
know
off.
what
It
we
was an
want-
accident.
I'd only deliberately shoot someone in Texas Chainsaw 4, or the remake, or its prequel, or that 3D one that came out a few years ago.
But what are you going to say to their parents?
Come on, soldier, let's go.
Please don't eat me.
The afternoon of the following day.
Sammy Davis Jr. and the rest of his rat pack are brought back in to get their sentences passed. And in the case of the guy at the end, that sentence involves some very rough love. They're each sentenced to between 5 years and life in prison for basically being unpopular. Or they can take the park. Of course, the bastards could be really evil and sentence them to MacArthur Park. 3 days of listening to that has a 98% kill rate.
Please let me die!
Oh, sweet! Someone left that cake out in the rain. The rain of blood!
You ask me if I have anything to say to show cause now why sentence shouldn't be passed. Other than that, these are young people with all of life before them, full citizens of the United States of America, to whom the Constitution and the Bill of Rights apply. No, I can't think of anything.
The last group appears to have lost Tony Goldmark in editing. I hear that's a common problem in crossovers. They finally approach the flag, but it's surrounded by cops who won't let them reach it.
I don't care how far you've got, you better stop.
To be fair, the cops are really trying to make this into a cultural exchange by turning this into a game of bulldogs. A bit like the cultural exchange between their batons and the people's heads. Man, Police Academy 8 got really dark and Nolan-y.
Oh, you're going to kill him, you fucking idiot!
Clear the court, clear the court. We have already made the sentences.
I feel so ashamed.
Nobody's touching our flag! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Cut, cut, cut! Stop it! They were just surrendering peaceably! You tell us why you did what you did.
Target human. Mission destroyed.
Because they rushed us. Well, that's not a reason, man. That's not a reason.
If they wouldn't have rushed us if you hadn't been there trying... Oh, shit.
The cops give their excuses for A, cheating, and B, killing the fuck out of the prisoners. Basically, they claim the prisoners assaulted their batons with their faces. And that's that. Punishment Park ends up with the clearly brutal and guilty assholes defending their actions, and the implication is that they'll get away with it. Getting away with being filmed doing horrible acts of violence should only work if you're wearing garish makeup. And you're me.
I thought the blood spot was safe!
Well, it's not. Fuck you. Ta-da! This is a stunning film. I've not done it justice. I've really not. I can't. You need to watch it for yourself. It's like today turned into a 70s dystopian film with an incredible air of realism. One of my rules of thumb for great mockumentaries is how hard it is for someone without context to work out that it's not real. And regardless of the subject matter, this one is really fucking hard. It's a mix of no famous actors, brilliant performances, and the very real kinds of assholery on display. Yeah, the political rants and arguments are far from subtle, but honestly, that adds to the realism. People are blunt, especially under stress. Overall, Watkins is a unique as hell director and one of the most underappreciated of the last 50 years. How many people have managed to invent their own distinctive style, be consistently good, and not be copied? Almost no one, but Watkins managed it. Though that might be because almost no one has heard of him. And that's a fucking shame. This film is a fucking masterpiece, and I really wish I didn't have to review it. I could be spending this time reviewing something fucking terrible like the evangelical horror film about the porn ghost. Now that would make a fucking brilliant episode. Anyway, I'm the Amanda Hagan, and good luck, America. You're gonna need it. The Amanda Hagan is doing a voiceover now in the style of Peter Watkins to parody the fact that his narration continued over the credits of the film. He explained that in a cruel twist of irony, one of the people playing a prisoner was arrested during post-production of the film. I'd like to say that one of those involved in the making of this review ate some cake. It was very good.
Guys! I woke up under a pile of rocks. I'm feeling much better now, really. I can even walk under my own power, see? Can even... Guys? Ooh, there's that flag, freedom, here I come! I knew Disneyland was nearby. I'm in Disney World!